Hello, welcome to Top Stories today. The National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons has said it rescued and received 21,181 victims of human trafficking in 20 years. The Senate has taken a swipe at Nigerian prisons, saying it was disheartening to hear that dogs in the service of the prisons were better fed than any of the over 81,000 inmates in prisons across the country. Minister of Sports Development Senator John Eno has stated that the second edition of the National Para Games holds immense potential for discovering and unearthing new talent who will represent the nation with pride in the world of para sports in the near future. It is a lovely Friday. Thank God it's Friday. A beautiful welcome to you here on News Hour with me, Chioma Vic Chukwemeka. Now the news in full. The National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons has said it rescued and received 21,181 victims of human trafficking in 20 years. The Director General of NAPTIP, Professor Fatima Waziri Aziz, said this when she appeared before the Senate Committee on Social Duties for the Defense of the 2024 budget. She said the agency would try to support victims as long as they needed to be supported, noting that the process required time and a lot of money. She explained that NAPTIP provides legal, medical support, rehabilitation, and reintegration support to victims as well. In Delta, the state government has appealed to qualified indigenes of the state to participate in the ongoing screening exercise of the Nigerian Army 86th regular recruit intake for trades and non-trades men and women. The State Bureau of Orientation, quoting the executive assistant to the governor on orientation and communication, Dr. Wilford Latimo Obonisive, appealed in a statement issued earlier in the week, specifically on Tuesday. The statement said the screening exercise, which commenced on Monday, December 4th, 2023, in all the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, would end on Sunday, December 17, 2023. We move to Lagos State, where the Safety Commission has sealed 19 event centers for safety infractions. The Director General of the Commission, Lanre Mojola, disclosed these yesterday, Thursday, during an on-the-spot assessment of event centers in the state. A statement by the Commission said, according to Mojola, the safety assessment exercise is an ongoing effort to promote the Commission's mandate to ensure zero accidents, particularly during the Yuletide season. Mojola said before the exercise, the Commission had earlier informed all event owners through their various associations of the need to adopt safety best practices at all events and to duly register all events from 250 guests and above via its registration portal to obtain an event safety permit. The Economic Community of West Africa Community sitting in Abuja on Thursday dismissed the suit by the Niger Republic junta against the region's authority of heads of state and government. The ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government, led by Nigerian President Bola Tinubu, had on August 8, imposed sanctions on the country following the junta's failure to relinquish power to the civilian President Mohamed Bazoum. Displeased with the sanction, the Niger junta approached the court, arguing that the sanction had occasioned adverse effects on the Nigerian people, including a shortage of food, medicine, and electricity due to the closure of borders and cutoff of electricity supply by Nigeria. The junta asked the court to compel the authority of heads of state and government to immediately suspend the sanction. The Transmission Company of Nigeria yesterday Thursday raised the alarm over indiscriminate buildings on TCN right-of-ways in Enugu State. It also lamented the strangulation of 21 power projects in the southeast region since 2019, blaming it on the activities of the residents. The General Manager Transmission Enugu Region, Mr. Emmanuel Abba, who disclosed this during a press conference in Enugu, revealed that the projects were awarded since 2019, aimed at boosting power supply in Arochukwu, Okigwe, Nnewi, Enugu, Nsukka, Olo, Ninth Mile, Nike, among others. He stated that while such projects had since been completed in other parts of the country, those awarded in Southeast region have suffered sabotage and litigation from the residents even when the federal government had paid the necessary compensations. Still in Enugu State, the state government has reiterated its commitment to continued de-risking businesses and investment in the state to make it an economic hub. The government said making the state a business-friendly environment is governed by international good practices, which would create better economic outcomes that will help realize the administration's vision of a $30 billion GDP from the present $4.4 billion driven by private sector investment. The Managing Director, CEO of the Enugu State Investment Development Authority, Dr. Sam Obu-Nwobodo, gave the assurances during the public sector consultation meeting to review the 2024 Enugu State Business Enabling Reforms Action Plan, organized by the Authority, Office of the State Focal Person on Ease of Doing Business Reforms, and the State Action on Business Enabling Reforms held in Enugu recently. In a bid to protect the rights and improve the lives of people living with disabilities in Nigeria, the federal government has announced the imminent enforcement of the Disability Rights Act starting in January 2024. The Disability Rights Act was passed by the National Assembly in January 2019 after several years of advocacy by disability rights activists. However, the legislation has not been fully enforced until now. The Act covers a wide array of rights, including the prohibition of discrimination against persons with disabilities in various sectors, such as education, employment, healthcare, and public transportation. The Executive Secretary, National Commission for Persons with Disabilities, James David Lalu, disclosed this at a press briefing held Thursday yesterday in Abuja. He said the move aims to eradicate discrimination and ensure equal opportunities for every citizen, irrespective of their physical and mental abilities. The Senate has taken a swipe at Nigerian prisons, saying it was disheartening to hear that dogs in the service of the prisons were better fed than any of the over 81,000 inmates in prisons across the country. Speaking yesterday in Abuja during the 2024 Budget Defense Session with the Joint Senate and House of Representatives Committee on Interior, Chairman of the committee and former Governor of Edo State, Adams Oshomole, APC Edo North, expressed surprise at the ugly situation that the prison authorities have 900 dogs across its detention centers and spend 800 naira every day to feed them, while 750 naira is spent on an inmate. He wondered why dogs are better fed than inmates in prisons, many of whom are awaiting trial. Oshomole, who noted that these explained why some inmates who are convicted in minor cases leave prisons as hardened criminals because of the inhuman treatment meted out to them. Earlier, the Comptroller General Haliru Nababa had told the committee that the service spent 800 naira per day to feed each of the 900 dogs in the service, while just 750 naira was allocated to feed each prisoner, majority of whom are awaiting trials at 250 per meal. Now we move to education, where the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, has asked the federal government to separate the budget of the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TET Fund, from the education annual budget, saying such step would enable effective budget implementation. ASU President Professor Emmanuel Shodeke said these at the TET Fund Alliance for Innovative Research TET Fair showcase and closing event in Abuja yesterday. Oshodeke, who spoke against the backdrop of suspicion that national education budget may not enjoy 100% implementation, observed that strangely for the first time, government decided to add TET Fund's budget to the education budget. ASU President added that once TET Fund's budget was included in the national budget, it is finished, in quotes. He also called on Nigerians to deal with inferiority complex, which allows them to depend on services abroad, stating that every country in the world that wants to develop must use its ideas and use its people, and those ideas are in the universities. We take a break right now. When we return, the National Population Commission (NPC) has announced the commencement of data collection for the 2023/2024 Nigerian Demographic and Health Survey. These and other stories will come your way after this timeout. Kindly stay with us. Glad to have you back here with us on a news hour. The National Population Commission (NPC) has announced the commencement of data collection for the 2023 to 2024 Nigerian Demographic and Health Survey, which will run till Sunday, April 21, 2024. The Federal Commissioner representing Anambra State, Mr. Chidi Ezoke, disclosed this during the launch and press briefing of the exercise in Awka. It is a national sample survey that provides up-to-date, high-quality data on demographic and health indicators for policy formulation and planning of population health and nutrition programs. The NDHS is conducted every 5 years, with the 2023 to 2024 NDHS being the 8th editions of the survey in Nigeria. Represented by the State Director of NPC, Dr. Okuchukwu Olase, Mr. Ezoke clarified that the NDHS will take place in 20 local governments of Anambra State, excluding Ayamelum, where a verbal and social autopsy survey was conducted in 2018. He said the data will be collected in 38 clusters in the 38 localities within 20 local government areas in the state. The Anambra State Governor's wife, Mrs. Noye Soludo, has said that the present administration will continue to support investment ideas and actions that will help the collective achievement of a dream homeland. The governor's wife said these at the Dora Akunyili Women Development Center, Oka, while presenting startup equipment and free interest loan checks to graduates of the 2023 Skill Acquisition Training sponsored by Anambra Women United, Chicago, USA. AW is an association of Anambra women based in Chicago, Illinois, United States of America. Part of the association's corporate social responsibilities is to give support and funding for health services, charity, small-scale business growth, and social intervention. Aside from beneficiaries that got interest-free loans, others were given equipment including oven, sewing machines, makeup kits, and hair-making gadgets, among others. Speaking shortly before presenting the items to the beneficiaries, Mrs. Soludo commended AW for heeding the investment home call, most importantly for supporting the human capital development focus of the present administration. The Anambra State government, through the Ministry of Health, has organized a 2-day residential training for disease surveillance and notification officers in a bid to curb a widespread of diphtheria and other communicable diseases in the state. The participants were trained on overview of surveillance and its tools, polio situation updates, among others. Declaring the event, which was held in Oka, opened, the Anambra State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Afam Obidike, explained that the government embarked on the training as an urgent response to diphtheria outbreaks in various states in Nigeria. Dr. Obidike revealed that the surveillance officers were drawn from the 21 local government areas of the state to train them with preventive skill techniques as well as measures of preventing the disease in their various council areas, and urged the participants to make adequate use of the training for the good of Anambra. Earlier, the Anambra State epidemiologist Dr. Choma Emembolo appreciated Governor Chukwuma Soludo for his achievements in the health sector, as the training is the first of its kind in the state and the southeast region in general. Diphtheria is a serious bacterial infection caused by the bacterial Conibacterium species that affects the nose, throat, and sometimes the skin of an individual, and its signs and symptoms include fever, runny nose, sore throat, red eye, neck swelling, cough, among others. Now to stories from other parts of the world. The U.S. Secretary of State says there is a gap between Israel's intent to protect civilians and how the war has been unfolding in Gaza. Anthony Blinken says it remains imperative that Israel put a premium on civilian protection. Israel insists it's taking steps to minimize civilian harm. Meanwhile, a UN official says the Israeli military offensive means there is no safe place left for aid agencies in southern Gaza. Tens of thousands of Palestinians have fled to Rafah near the border with Egypt as intense fighting continues in Khan Yunis. Israel says that it will open the Kerem Shalom border crossing in the next few days to allow aid into Gaza. Hamas attacked Israel in October, killing 1,200 people and taking 240 hostages, some of whom were released during a short-lived truce. Hamas officials in Gaza say Israel has killed more than 17,177 people in its retaliatory campaign, including about 7,000 children. 2 men have been arrested in France after allegedly scamming elderly people into paying thousands of euros for bed bug treatment they did not need. Police in Strasbourg said the men would go to their victims' homes, carry out phony control services, and then overcharge for treatment products. They added that 48 people have been scammed altogether, many of them women over 90. Recent months have seen a rise in bedbug infestations across France. The issue has sparked concern across the country, with senior government officials working on measures to address it. In North Korea, activists say about up to 600 North Korean defectors, believed to be mostly women, have not been heard from since their deportation from China. In October, China carried out the largest repatriation of North Koreans detainees in years after Pyongyang ended its COVID border lockdown. This put the detainees' lives at risk. Human rights groups said at that time, viewed as traitors, they can face torture, sexual violence, and execution in the isolated state, advocates said. On Thursday yesterday, a Seoul-based human rights group tracking the detainees said they believed up to about 600 North Koreans had vanished after being forcefully returned. From India, India's ambassador to Qatar has met 8 former naval officers who have been sentenced to death in Qatar on unspecified charges. An Indian Foreign Ministry spokesperson said that diplomat met the men in prison on 3rd of December. He added that a court in Qatar has held 2 hearings on an appeal filed by India against the verdict, and a 3rd hearing will be held soon. The court of first instance of Qatar sentenced the man to death in October. India had said then that it was deeply shocked and would explore all legal options. Nearly 282 million people in Africa, about 20% of the continent's population, are undernourished. That's according to a new report by the African Union and 3 UN bodies. The joint report also revealed that the number of undernourished Africans has increased by 57 million people since the start of COVID-19 pandemic, signaling the deterioration of Africa's food crisis. The report has attributed the widespread unaffordability of healthy food to escalating food costs in recent years, particularly in Western and Eastern Africa, which have left not only the poor, but also a large proportion of the people defined as non-poor, unable to maintain a healthy diet. The agencies also said that about 30% of children under 5 on the continent are stunted due to malnutrition. Zimbabwe and Botswana are working on a bilateral deal to scrap visa requirements for each other's citizens. They join the growing wave of African countries easing entry restrictions for visitors from the continent. President Emerson said on Thursday, following a discussion, he said he had held with Botswana's President Mogwesi Masisi. Several African countries have recently introduced bilateral visa-free movement arrangements. Botswana and Namibia, South Africa and Ghana and Uganda and the Democratic Republic of Congo are some of the African countries that have introduced reciprocal visa waiver agreements this year. Rwanda has already eased visa restrictions for Africans, allowing visas on entry. We'll take yet another break, and when we return, we head into the splendid world of sports. Kindly stay with us. Back here on News Hour, now we move to sports. Super Eagles forward Victor Osimhen has made a final shortlist for the 2023 CAF African Men's Player of the Year award. The Confederation of African Football, on its official X handle on Thursday, released the list of the 3 final nominees in different categories for the prestigious award. Osimhen will be vying with Morocco's Paris Saint-Germain defender Achraf Hakimi and Egypt's Liverpool forward Mohamed Salah. The 24-year-old has been in fine form for Napoli in the past 12 months, guiding the Serie A club to their first league victory in 33 years and scoring a league high 26 goals in 32 Serie A games last season and 31 goals across all competitions. Caterpillar's captain Rabiu Ali has revealed that he prohibits his children from playing football even if they have the potential of becoming footballers in the future. The 43-year-old started playing football from his primary school days in Fagge, Kano, and he also acknowledged that his children's only chance of playing the game is also in school. Ali has been active in the Nigerian Premier League Football League for about 2 decades, but he would rather want his children to focus on their education before pursuing a football career. Minister of Sports Development Senator John Eno has stated that the second edition of the National Para Games holds immense potential for discovering and unearthing new talent who will represent the nation with pride in the world of para sports in the near future. The minister made the statement during a briefing in Abuja as the nation eagerly awaits the opening ceremony of the 2023 National Para Games on Friday. That will be today. The games hold in Abuja from December 8th today to 14th. He expressed his confidence that the event will be a resounding success, further fostering inclusivity and promoting para sports in the country. Nigeria has won a whopping 80 medals at the Paralympic Games, which comprises of 40 gold, 19 silver and 20 bronze medals from the Barcelona 1992 Paralympic Games till date. Senator Eno thanked all athletes for their hard work and consistency. Former Nigerian defender Ifeanyi Udeze expressed doubt that the Super Eagles' chances of winning the upcoming 2023 Africa Cup of Nations. Udeze acknowledged the potential within the squad but emphasized the lack of a cohesive team structure necessary for triumph. In addition, Udeze urged the Nigerian Football Federation to fulfill its responsibilities by ensuring timely payment of match bonuses for the players and coaching staff. With our story, we'll wrap it up on today's news hour. Let's recall the headlines. The National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons has said it rescued and received 21,181 victims of human trafficking in 20 years. The Senate has taken a swipe at Nigerian prisons, saying it was disheartening to hear that dogs in the service of the prisons were better fed than any of the over 81,000 inmates in prisons across the country. Minister of Sports Development Senator John Eno has stated that the second edition of the National Para Games holds immense potential for discovering and unearthing new talent who will represent the nation with pride in the world of para sports in the near future. That's it. On News Hour today, on behalf of the entire editorial news and production team, I am Chioma Vic. Stay here on TV Sapiencia. It is Friday. Thank God it's Friday. Kindly be security conscious, be on the alert, and whatever it is you do, make sure it is productive. Do have a smashing and a great weekend ahead of you. Good afternoon.